Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Continuity Report. Today is May 12th, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 19. Today we're going to be talking about Paramount Plus everything, MCU and your personality type, classic movie references in John Wick, British TV crime shows, the real-life Fall Guys, another Bosch spin-off, weather disaster movies, mystery series shows, identical movies released together, and the best ToaT, the trilogy of all time. The best trilogy of all time. You've heard of GOAT?
Like a goat?
Yeah, this is a ToaT. I am Mayor Watt. Over there is ohmtown.com, and everywhere is the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, hometown citizens. Welcome to Continuity Report.
Everything is powered by ohmtown.com. I know that I'm looking off in the wrong direction, but there's actually I'm looking at the stream camera. Never mind. Everything's broken if I flip everything. I could never hold anything up and it's the right side, right? So and to do everything the right way, I'd have to flip monitors for me to.
Yeah, especially if it had text on it or something, it'd be really out of whack.
Yeah. So let's just get into today's show. But before I do that, the way that this works, I'm actually waiting for the stream to catch up. I'm going to throw all of these articles into the chat, and you can follow along as we go through the news. We have 10 articles that we talk about in each episode of an ohmTown show. Sometimes, most of the time, it stays within about an hour of our kickoff of the show. We don't have much preamble before we start talking about the news. Pretty much this right here is about as far as it's going to go. It gives me some time to throw all of these links into the chat, and I have to do them one by one for everybody over at Twitch because, well, if I leave it as one big lump, that's how it shows up. Nothing but text. So I have to do them one at a time. I know, I haven't figured out anything better than that so far. Although, I might get another, like a keyboard that I can program, and so I can just push a button and it'll copy them over one at a time, like a macro. We'll see. At any rate,
I mean, that would be really efficient, but we'll get there.
Yeah, really, I need job security. So the Continuity Report is all about movies and TV shows and pretty much anything where there is a continuity report. And the Continuity Report is where we might pick apart something where it doesn't make any sense, or a glass is shifted from one hand to another, or just a whole host of things that don't make logical sense. But right now, most of our news is really across the spectrum of topics and not focusing on that. What we want to do is, for the Patreon, each month do a movie and kind of tear it apart for its inconsistencies and talk about it, but have fun and not take ourselves too seriously. With that in mind, this is kind of the sample of that. So if you come over to twitch.tv/ohmtown, you can hang out and chat and we can talk about all of this stuff. So let's get going. The very first article is over in the Marvel channel. Paramount is reportedly in formal takeover talks with Sony and Apollo after letting exclusive merger talks with Skydance Media lapse on Friday. Paramount Global is reportedly in formal talks with Sony Pictures Entertainment and Apollo Global Management for a takeover bid, according to New York Times. So, who's doing what? Morgan Hefner?
Well, right.
Over
Who's the one being overtaken, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of lost because didn't Paramount just merge with stuff?
I swear they did like a month ago. But at this point, it is getting a little hard to keep track of the mergers.
Yeah, so Sony's trying to buy... Sony Corp would merge Sony Pictures Entertainment into a joint venture with Paramount Global. But yeah, I thought that they integrated Showtime, and they formed Paramount Plus, and they shut down something.
But this might be more about their streaming than actual mergers.
So the article is by Morgan Hefner over at quartz.com or qz.com. And it goes into greater detail about this. Former talks with Sony Pictures Entertainment and Apollo Global Management for a takeover bid, according to the New York Times. Last week, Reuters reported that Paramount wouldn't extend its exclusive merger discussions with Skydance, the film production company led by David Ellison, when it expired on Friday. Skydance had proposed to pay more than $2 billion for National Amusements, Paramount's parent company, and have Ellison lead the merged entity. Now, Sony and Apollo offer to buy Paramount for $26 billion in cash.
Well, I was going to make a snarky comment about $2 billion clearly being lowball, but I did not know this was on the table.
Great googly muggly. All right. Why is there that much of a disparity? This article isn't particularly overwhelmingly informative, but
That's a nice way to say I'm getting nothing out of this article, but right,
it
seems like they should be in the ballpark, right? Like I
Right.
can see them adding a little bit if they really wanted, but why couldn't they just offer $4 billion, for example?
Well, I can see why they would just kind of let this $2 billion for National Amusements, Paramount's parent company, kind of fall apart, because it's 13 times lower than the asking price that was probably proffered up in private conversation before it was formally offered. Hey, we'll give you $26 billion in cash. This is probably a spectacular amount of money because it's cash. Yeah. But this is a merger and acquisition, so expect firings and prices to go up for everything around Sony and Apollo.
Right. Well, and this is interesting because presumably this is their starting bid.
Oh, God.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know all the inner workings of this negotiation, but if they just started negotiating.
Yeah, they signed off on kick-starting negotiations with Sony and Apollo on Saturday, because people familiar with the matter told the Times. $26 billion. Life choices, folks.
What do you think the final offer will be if they come to an agreement?
Not too much higher. I think that they know the value of it, so I'm gonna say 29.
I think so. I would have said 30, but then we all know it's like the $29.99 is is more preferable to 30 or whatever.
Wouldn't that be spectacular if we get that right? All right. Well, we can't spend too much time on this. Let's throw this into the next article. The continuity report is where it's housed. MCU characters who share your MBTI type. If you've never heard of MBTI, it's the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator, and it's dependent. Okay, so I've done research in all of this. I actually built a search engine that builds a personality profile about you and the rest of the internet as it crawls. It's, if you are skilled, you can manipulate your personality type, the MBTI, because you know how to answer the questions to output a particular, and it was actually
well, that doesn't really, assuming there is a legitimate purpose to taking the test, that kind of defeats it.
Correct. But if you want to stick a fork in somebody's fundamental research, that's how you do it. And it was demonstrated to me. So that's the kind of thing where I was like, oh, okay, well, time to move on.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's like anything where you're taking a poll or something like that, and it's like, would you, whatever, donate money to charity or whatever? Like, you might just throw some odd answer at it. So I guess the same idea, but it sounds very deliberate.
Yeah, and if you have to deal with bad faith versus good faith results, and Well, I don't know. What I thought was going to be a superior product could still be, but I would have to get funding and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know. Hey, DoD, I'm available to. So, over 10 years, audiences have followed the adventures of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the first year that there isn't going to be a summer MCU movie, by the way. So I think there's some culture shock, although I kind of predicted this along with the sentient AI. We've been talking about the fact that I think that there is superhero burnout other than the gritty The Boys over on Prime.
I mean, the superheroes need downtime just like the rest of normal people.
Sure. No rest for superheroes. So it says, yes, the comic book action and interwoven stories are part of the charm, but the real selling points of the franchise are its relatable heroes. With the vast array of characters, anyone can find a hero they identify with. So, who are you? Matt Berger over at ScreenRant.com put the article together. I don't know if this is going to pop me out. I didn't log into my account, so it might pop me out. It does that every once in a while. So the Myers-Briggs type indicator provides an insight into a character's archetype, psychology, and social tendencies, giving fans a deeper understanding of their favorite heroes.
Can you imagine you look at this and you go, oh my goodness, I'm like somebody that's just not at all what you want to be. I mean, a lot of superheroes have good qualities, but we know some don't.
Right. Plus, I don't want to be associated with just like an archery kind of guy. I don't know. I'm picking a fight, really. I'm just picking a
Hawkeye.
fight. Yes, exactly. I have actually there's no dog in that hunt. Anyway, I don't identify with a superhero. I'm not really a super fan of anything. So Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, is ESFP. And so you actually have to read about these. ESFP personalities are social extroverts, entertainers, typically focused on personal aesthetics, can be a little unfocused at times, and can become easily bored, which Peter Quill fits all of these traits, according to this. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it all up, because this is kind of...
Do you need me to pull up the chart or whatever?
No, I can get it. No, I won't be able to spend all this time in there, because here's how it works. So there's extroversion and introversion, sensing and intuition, the N. See, this is how intuitive the abbreviations are. They use the N in intuition. Then there's thinking and feeling, and judging and perceiving. So extroversion and introversion is how you focus your attention. Sensing and intuition are how you take in information. Thinking or feeling is how you make your decisions. And judging and perceiving is how you deal with the world. And arguably, everybody fits into a type. But my research over about 2 years resulted in we are always in flux, and depending on what's going on in the world, in your world, and the amount of information at hand, you may shift. Others argue no, but Scott Lang, aka
and I also imagine people aren't as dichotomous as that would suggest, right? Like maybe they're kind of in the middle between the two, or so. Anyway.
Yeah, but the questionnaire is supposed to peel back the layers of the onion until you actually fit in a bucket.
Oh, okay.
That's why you don't end up quasi extroversion, introversion, unless you game the system and you end up like just barely an introvert, because that's how you so choose to be perceived. Most of the time, a good faith effort, you end up when you read the information, you're like, oh yeah, that's me. I suspect a lot of these are extroverts.
I would think so for superheroes. What I don't know is whether they have all the personality types represented here. Because I can't, off the top of my head, think of an introvert superhero. I'm not saying there isn't one.
Yeah, okay. For some reason, I was just about to jump in and say, look, there's 16 different personality types that fall into the MBTI, but I was like, better count.
But I think that's right.
But it is correct, because it's a 4x4 matrix. So Ant-Man is ESFJ. So they're a feeling person and a judging person. So they think essentially with their emotions. They're powered by their, which is interesting. Scott Lang was doing criminal activities before he became Ant-Man. Yet he's an extrovert, and he's a sensing person and feeling. So you kind of he does what he thinks is right, including maybe even doing criminal activity. And then Sam Wilson, aka Falcon / Captain America, is IS, so an introvert.
There we go. Okay, well, it didn't take long to be proven wrong.
And then Bucky Barnes. But Bucky Barnes, what makes him ISFJ is there's something that happened in his backstory that made him introvert. He could have been an extrovert at some point. And that's why I say we are a product of our entire existence, and we can shift. I think it's interesting that Vision, aka a modified Ultron, popped out as having a personality type, ISTJ.
Well, maybe they didn't have one for ISTJ, and they had to. I mean, I'm not saying maybe Vision fits this, but maybe that's why it's included.
Yeah, because that's thinking and judging, and sensing. So, I suppose.
I guess that goes together, but I don't expect there's a lot of introverted superheroes.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating. This is an interesting article only because you really have to work to create a particular personality. So they don't really espouse who it is or what it is that made this ISTP or ESTP. So they're an extrovert, sensing, thinking, and perceiving, right? Yeah. And that's Thor. So, but they have a particular rule set. They make their judge, but it says perceiving, but I think that they make judgments. You're not worthy, but it's based on the hammer.
I would agree.
Mew Mew. So I want to scroll back up to the beginning of this because I want to see if they say something. One of the ways to understand the character's archetype and psychology is by applying the Myers-Briggs personality types. This specified classification is often used to surmise one's social tendencies and tics. During its inception, few imagined the MCU timeline would continue quite this long, with hundreds of characters filling out Marvel's movies and TV universe. While mainstays like Thor and Hulk are still around, the franchise has pulled others, Shang-Chi, Kang, and Kamala Khan, just to name a few from their thing. So I'm really curious how they did it. Because
did they reach out to Myers-Briggs, for example, and go, can you give me an example of a superhero that fits these? Or did they do their own analysis? Or did they read profiles of these? I mean, there's so many different ways they could connect them.
Yeah, this is a neat article, but I would suspect you should probably take it all with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to be overly serious about this, but a lot of people will kind of take this as an inference that
as like personality. Official.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or like, oh, I'm just like whoever, Scarlet Witch.
Right. Well, you don't have to deal with superpowers, so no.
Right.
You're also not a tree person. So Okay, there's a whole bunch over here. I just won't be able to. This is a really, I mean, this article is long, so go and check it all
But
out.
I give it points for originality, right?
Yeah.
It is something we do not see normally.
That's funny. They even have the registered trademark for MBTI. Let's keep going. This next article is over in the Continuity Report, 10 Best Classic Movie References in the John Wick franchise. I'm just going to jump straight on over to Screen Rant. Ben Sherlock put this article together. From music cues to iconic scenes, John Wick movies reference cinematic history. From Lawrence of Arabia to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, John Wick is a masterful homage to film classics. And they make this list. They make a reference to Die Hard, Ode to Joy on the church organ in John Wick. And from The Warriors from 1979, Radio DJ in John Wick. So this is in chapter 4 when they go over the radio to announce that he's been marked.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, the close-up shot of the DJ's lips speaking into the microphone is a direct homage to a similar shot from The Warriors. Pretty cool. Okay, Enter the Dragon from 1973, a Bruce Lee mainstay. If you've ever watched any martial arts movies, you basically know about Enter the Dragon. One of my favorite Bruce Lee films. I was really into martial arts for a while. Anyway, the Halls of Mirrors fight in John Wick Chapter 2. That's a direct homage. The Tale of Zatoichi is, or Zatoichi, sorry. 1962, Donnie Yen's Kane in John Wick Chapter 4. Yeah, that one's, I haven't seen that one. But it says Donnie Yen's role is as blind martial arts master Kane in John Wick Chapter 4 has been compared to Yen's previous performance as Guardian of the Wills. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce that right. Kurat Imwe in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, but the character was actually inspired by a much earlier film, the classic samurai movie, The Tale of Zatoichi. Revolves around a blind masseur who happens to be a master swordsman. Kane isn't a masseur, but he is a master swordsman. So, pretty cool.
Okay, so then the scene is also similar, it sounds like. So that's interesting. Like
Yep.
they really tried to recreate it or
pay homage.
Pay their respects. Yeah, homage. Thank you.
Yep. The Matrix, the guns, lots of guns line in John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. There's a spin-off from John Wick, basically a
Cinderella or the Continental?
Well, the Continental is one, but that's not a movie series, right? But Cinderella is the one.
It's a short mini TV series. Like I think it only has like 3 episodes.
Oh no. But yeah, Cinderella is on the way. What is the disposition of that? I don't know anymore.
I don't know.
Then the Exorcist, the Deadly Staircase, and John Wick. At the end, well, I don't want to ruin it. Are people going to be talking about it?
I mean, John Wick has been out for a while, so I think it's okay. Just do spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Anyway, so there's a scene where John Wick is running up a very long flight of stairs and meets resistance as they go. But in The Exorcist, someone's pushed down a flight of stairs. So,
by the way, Ballerina will be a film, and it's expected in 2025. But the Continental was the show. Yeah,
Ballerina. Thank you for correcting that. I thought it was Cinderella too, but that's something else.
I'm sorry. I think I said Cinderella.
Yeah, it's Ballerina. Okay, let's keep going. The Cercle Rouge, the Red Circle nightclub in John Wick, is actually that film. Okay, that's interesting. Or that set. The English translation of the film's title is The Red Circle, and the nightclub where John Wick tracks down Yosef in John Wick is named after this English language title. So it's a trio of crooks teaming up to plan an elaborate heist. It's like Ocean's 11, but 3. That's
Right.
actually
Looks
that
like it.
actually looks like something that maybe we can put on the list. This looks like fun too. Wow, okay, we'll have to check that out. So Lawrence of Arabia in 1962, the desert scenes in John Wick. Well, that one is an easy one to tie in. I mean, that was so obvious that it was hard not to tie it together. And Rocky from 1976, the street performance of Take You Back in John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. Stallone would go on to contribute songs to the soundtracks of a lot of his brother's movies. He sang Angel Voice, Please Be Someone to Me for Paradise Alley, Nana Nini, Two Kinds of Love for Rocky 2, Push In for Rocky 3, Far From Over, Staying Alive. Boy, oh boy. So, and then The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, 1966, the standoff duel, which you'll have to just wait and see as to what the outcome of the duel was. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway,
so I did not realize there were all these references in John Wick. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I didn't know about them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So ScreenRant.com is where this was sourced from, but Ben Sherlock is the author. I love it when someone puts together a list like this, because you think that maybe, you see these parallels yourself from time to time, but then you actually go, oh, okay, it's not just in my head. So I like that. If you want to hear more about this, there is more content under this article, so follow it through ohmTown and you'll land right on it. Let's keep going though. The next article is over in Reality Hacker, 3 great British TV crime shows you need to watch in May 2024. May is the right time to watch these 3 great British TV crime shows, which include Mysteries starring Olivia Colman, Ben Aldridge, and Jane Seymour. The article is over at Digital Trends. Jason Struss is the author. And Harry Wild is still going, so 2022 and on. The Long Call is from 2021, and Landscapers is from 2021. And it says the following 3 selections are ideal to stream for anyone seeking compelling characters, twisty narratives, and a few climactic revelations you won't soon forget. One show is set to premiere in its 3rd season this month. Another is Underrated Mystery, set in the beautiful English seaside, and the other features, or the last, I should say. They say other, but it's really the last. Features an Oscar award-winning actor. They say actress, but nowadays the term should be neutered and just say you are an actor, in one of her best television roles. So Harry Wild is ongoing. I'm not sure why I know that name, Harry Wild.
I don't recognize the name of that, but it's interesting that it's ongoing, and also that it has Jane Seymour. I mean, she's pretty well known.
I think it's because there's a really well-known musician with the name Harry Styles. That's what it is. So anyway, it says Harry is a she, and she is played by Jane Seymour. So don't get your wires crossed there, folks. So pretty cool. I'm sure that's actually pretty compelling writing, considering I love British writing. There's just something about it. It doesn't seem to be, to me, British writing doesn't come across as WB. I don't think I've ever watched anything that's WB, but maybe it's because the crime drama
Maybe because
shows.
of the genre. Yeah, exactly. But I agree. Like, it just has a different feel to it. And then also, a lot of times, it has really cool scenery, depending on if it's set in a rural setting or even like in London or something.
I guarantee you, though, that perspective is probably grass is greener on the other side kind of perspective, because we don't see it every day.
Right. I mean, they could very much have comparable shows, and we're not seeking those out, and we don't realize they're there. But it seems like it's like a prevalent theme in American shows, even when you're outside of the obvious genre.
Like, I've had people that are from the big city, and then they swing by ohmTown and they're like, whoa, this place is amazing. I'm like, well, this is what happens when you actually interact with Four Seasons and not a metric ton of people. So anyway, again, grass is always greener on the other. I had a conversation with somebody about the fact that I am jealous of their hair, for instance, because they had big poofy hair, and it was I could probably, if I could get their genetics, and I would have this luxurious head of hair, right? And they're like, you'd hate it because it's hot, and it gets tangled up and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, meh. So grass is always greener. Anyway, The Long Call. British crime dramas can function as unexpected avenues for escapism, sure. There are gruesome murders to witness, but there are also beautiful coastal small towns to dream about too, and certainly The Long Call, 4-episode ITV crime series from 2021. There you go. And then The Landscapers. Those for a taste of unusual should try out The Landscapers, or it's just called Landscapers, a very British crime drama that blends true crime and pitch black comedy into a sinister yet satisfying series. Oh boy. Yep.
Well, I think the first two definitely look like worth checking out. The third, I don't know.
I'm not a big real life turned cinema kind of a thing.
And then that paired with comedy is, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, go check it all out. I think it's all on Prime. So let's keep going though. The next article is over in the Continuity Report, the real life Fall Guys, how a tight knit stunt team pulled off Ryan Gosling's death-defying scenes. They have a spoiler alert in this. So the Fall Guy is actually from a TV show, now a movie in theaters, leaping from high-flying helicopter, being engulfed in flames, and rolling a car over 8.5 times.
And half is important, depending on where you started. Like if you're upside down, you do want that last half.
Yeah, my record was 4. By the way.
Wow.
While the heart-stopping moments may be the stuff of nightmare. Oh, by the way, when the car actually came to a stop, it fell back onto its tires, and for the first time since it was owned, the radio worked.
I mean, that's an extreme reset button or whatever.
Yeah, the car didn't, but yeah. Well, actually, it ran, but not for long. Anyway, Katzy Stephen over at Variety.com put the article together. The picture in this looks surreal. It looks like it's a drawing.
Yeah, it does. I don't know why. It's like they don't look like they're connected with their background.
It's really odd, right? It looks like it's rotoscoped. Like there's pen outlines, bolding the actual character, and then they're like set in there, but that's actually legit. Like the whole scene, I think is
it's just
real. Something
about the way it was shot on film or something. It looks unusual.
So now I haven't seen this yet, and I don't want to really spoil it. So, but I would sit there and say, watch it and then read this. But I'm really a crazy respect for stunt people, because they take so much, and they get a paycheck, and that's it. They don't necessarily get options,
Well, and they don't get name recognition typically. I mean, I know they're in the credits and everything, but people don't typically know their names unless they're like at the top of the field.
Yeah. But they do so much to make a movie believable, and all the credit like the whole glamour side of it goes to this actor. So Ryan Gosling's Colt Seavers is repeatedly put through the ringer, and Universal's What Did You Just See?
Well, one of the stunts people willingly got lit on fire and hit by a car. I mean, that's a little different than just like jumping or something.
Yeah, so Logan Holiday, who performed driving stunts and set a Guinness World Record. Ben Jenkin, who willingly got lit on fire and hit by a car, and Troy Brown, who plummeted 150 feet for an epic fall, sat down with Variety to share their experience on The Fall Guy and why the film's representation of the stunt community is so vital.
I mean, honestly, this is making me want to watch the movie.
You know
from
what?
the discussion of the stunts.
I think what I'm going to do is just say, go and read this article, because I don't want to spoil anything. And I want you, I have too much respect for the stunt community, because this is kind of the unsung heroes. And their paycheck is not close to what the quote unquote stars are. But this is kind of
it doesn't even have the same number of zeros on it, right?
Yeah. And so to me, these are the engineers of the movie industry, the acting engineers. Whereas, Elon Musk is a billionaire, but the engineers that make it actually happen don't really get much recognition. They get a good paycheck, but it's not even a day's interest, So anyway, I'm going to just say, go and read this article over at Variety. And we'll move on to the next article. The continuity report: Bosch Renee Ballard spinoff casts designated survivor star Maggie Q in lead role. And I'm really curious about this now, because Bosch had a spinoff, Bosch Legacy, right? And Bosch is in it. There's supposed to be another one where it's his partner from Bosch.
Oh, Edgar.
Edgar was supposed to go off on his own and do something else. That was supposed to be a spinoff. And now there's this. Maggie Q is officially set to star in Bosch spinoff centered on cold case detective Renee Ballard. Q will make, her last name is Q, the letter Q. Will make her first.
I think that's her stage name.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Her first appearance as the character in the season 3 finale of Bosch Legacy. We've stopped watching Bosch Legacy. That just kind of dawned on me. The first look at which you can see above and below. And so there's a link that'll take you over to Variety. Selena Kuznikov is the author of the article over at variety.com.
I thought I recognized her name. I know her from the Divergent trilogy.
She's one of the administrators of the thing. She's one of the scientists.
Yes, she was in the no. She was in the faction that the main character's in. I can't think of the name at the moment.
Oh, was she? She's one of the factions. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to go back and look. I seem to recognize her, but maybe because
she was Tori.
Oh, I'll have to look. Yeah. So Q will make her first appearance as the character in the season 3 finale of Bosch Legacy, which might be spoilery. Q is known for starring roles as FBI agent Hannah Wells on ABC and Netflix drama Designated Survivor and the title role of CW action series Nikita. She was most recently seen in the Skydance and Apple TV Plus action comedy The Family Plan with Mark Wahlberg. And her other film credits are the Protege Divergent series, Live Free or Die Hard, Mission Impossible 3. That's it. That's all. Oh, there's more. Okay.
Okay, so this is interesting. I was thinking, well, who is this character? But the thing is, I don't think we've seen this character yet, right? Because Bosch Legacy season 3 hasn't aired. So they've already planned it out that the person's going to make an appearance and then they're going to do a spinoff.
Very Disney, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm like, wait a second.
That's really interesting. So they're going to pull this talent in and then highlight them. And apparently it's good enough that they're going to spin it off.
Well, exactly. I'm like, she must have a stellar part because, like, a lot of times if somebody's in one episode, right, they might not really stand out, or you'd be like, who is that character? Or,
yeah. It's how much does the audience appreciate that, right?
Right.
Interesting.
Well, and we've seen times where like one kind of side character really steals the episode, so maybe this is one of these.
Per the logline, the untitled series will follow Q's Ballard, who is tasked with running the LAPD's new cold case division, a poorly funded all-volunteer unit with the largest caseload in the city. Ballard approaches these frozen-in-time cases with empathy and determination. When she uncovers a larger conspiracy during her investigations, she'll lean on the assistance of her retired ally, Harry Bosch. Wow, so Bosch is basically just getting... he's
like
the
he'll
utility.
be like in a detective role again, right?
Yep. Yeah. To navigate the dangers that threaten both her unit and her life. Dun, dun, dun. Cool.
I say sign me up. If it's anything like Bosch or Bosch Legacy, it might be worth a watch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm on board. Okay, let's keep going though. The next article is over in the Continuity Report, 10 best weather disaster movies to watch while waiting for twisters. I'm just going to jump on over to Screen Rant. Robert Pittman is the author. Twisters is the highly anticipated legacy sequel to 1960. It's like the Nepo baby of Twister, I guess. Just because of the name, they're naming it Twisters. The people in it, I don't even know. I mean, I'm just kind of giggling because they're calling it Twister, and then the sequel is Twisters 30 years later. Bringing back the classic man versus nature genre with new characters. From what I've seen, it's the exact same story.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, think about how many ways a tornado could cause things to go awry. Right? Like, it's going to be a similar plot, premise, whatever.
Yeah, I think there's like one of the actors is like the kid of the previous Twister investigators or storm chasers. So Geostorm and Into the Storm offer similar disaster spectacle to Twisters, with massive storms threatening the planet and towns. And before watching Twisters July 2024, check out the Poseidon Adventure and The Day After Tomorrow Before Yesterday's next weekend's last month. Anyway, so that's what the article talks about. Twisters is the upcoming sequel to the classic 1996 movie Twister, with it following a group of storm chasers as a particularly nasty system of tornadoes ravages Oklahoma. Twisters features star-studded cast actors like Glenn Powell, Anthony Ramos, and Daisy Edgar Jones, with the new generation of Twister stars taking the reins from the classic cast. The spectacle of Twisters. Weather disaster is one of the film's biggest draws, and here are 10 others that have the same hook. Twister from 1996.
I'd be disappointed if that wasn't in the list.
Yeah. Geostorm 2017. The Day After Tomorrow from 2004. Greenland from 2020. Oh, that has what's his name in it?
It says Gerard Butler. I don't know that one, but it sounds kind of interesting.
That might be interesting. Follows an incredibly similar story to Geostorm. Greenland sees Gerard Butler's character take his family on a journey to find safety after learning that a comet with the capacity to destroy Earth is headed right for the planet. I don't know, man. What? This is too deep of a conversation for this show. We'll keep going. Into the Storm, 2014. Into the Storm proves that the upcoming sequel isn't the only film to do this. Twisters is a film about multiple tornadoes ravaging Oklahoma, so I guess it's happening again. You know what? Oklahoma, just got to move it. Just put it somewhere else. And
that's right. Exactly.
Just get it out of the way. Then there's The Wave from 2015. The Poseidon Adventure, which is actually pretty classic, a 1972 ship disaster film. The Perfect Storm from 2000. A whole bunch of storms converge in a particular area.
Okay.
And it says it's a true story, telling of how the Andrea Gale became lost at sea during the perfect storm of 1991 after 3 waterfronts collide on Halloween of 1991. Several fishing ships were battered by the brutal storm system, with the film following Andrea Gale as its crew attempts to secure survival in the face of certain death. Well, it wasn't certain death. Crawl from 2019, which I've never even heard of. Interesting film as it manages to mix a monster movie with a weather disaster movie. All right.
With alligators.
Oh no. Yeah, so there's Sharknado and Alligatornado.
Yeah, it's like snakes on a plane or
Oh,
something.
Gatornado. That's much better. Gatornado.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Because if you can do shark. Oh, look, number one.
You hadn't seen that. That's funny.
Sharknado. That's hilarious. So 2013.
I like Gatornado, though.
Gatornado.
Watch, that'll be out like next year.
Where only the Gators say let's roll. All right, let's keep going, though. The next article's over in Reality Hacker. Like the Netflix crime show Bodkin, then watch these 3 mystery series now. First off, I've never watched Bodkin, so I have no idea. The new Netflix series Bodkin is one of the best crime shows of the year, and they've picked 3 mysteries like it that you should stream right away. It's over at Digital Trends. Look at that, Joe Allen.
So number 1, check out Bodkin if you haven't seen it.
There you go. Yeah, take it away. The After Party, Mayor of Easttown, and Death and Other Details. This I thought I've heard about, but let's see.
Yes, that's the one that has, I think, Steve Martin in it.
Is it? Is that it? That must. Okay, let's see.
And Selena Gomez, maybe.
Well, okay, all right. So the After Party, perhaps the ideal lighthearted mystery series. The After Party tells the story of a group of former friends who gather for their high school reunion, only for one of them to be murdered. Anyway, in addition to the great cast, the brilliance of After Party comes in large part with the way every episode retells the events of the murder from a different perspective. Oh, I love that. That's like Clue.
That's exactly what it reminds me of. I wonder if it was modeled after that.
Oh, we're going to have to follow that. Oh, my goodness. Did they say anything about that? No, it's a brilliant conceit and one that makes every episode feel fresh. That conceit is one character revisits the night of the murder in the form of an animated movie, while others use the traits of an action movie, etc. Interesting. This is going to be really fascinating. All seasons of the After Party are streaming on Apple TV+. Well, glad we have it. Mayor of Easttown 2021, anchored by a brilliant central performance by Kate Winslet. Mayor of Easttown is both the story of a detective solving a murder case and a chronicle of life in a small Pennsylvania town. All right. Oh, in fact, the series may spend more time on family drama. So, see, like American crime drama stuff always ends up being more WB than...
Right, than just the detective part.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't want that because there's enough of that in the real world. I'm looking at movies and shows to pull away from it.
Right, you want to escape real life scenarios when you're watching TV and movies.
Yeah, step away from the bullshit. So, Death and Other Details. I guess it's on Hulu. Telling the story of a woman who inadvertently finds herself at the center of a locked room murder mystery and needs the help of the world's best detective, Poirot.
So I apologize. I've got this mixed up with another. Oh, Only Murders in the Building, maybe the other one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think that's the one that you're thinking of. This is the one where, as you watch, you have to deduce how... Remember, we saw this trailer and we actually ended up talking about this way back, like episode 1 or 2 of the continuity report.
Right, I agree.
Because Mandy Patinkin basically gets told she's the killer, and they have to work to undo it, unravel, reverse engineer how it actually got done. So this will be really interesting. So yeah, I don't know how to really describe this thing. This is really interesting. They have more article, like there's more content like usual. There's more stuff that we kind of skim over and talk and then add our own perspective. So um, definitely follow the link through ohmTown show notes and you'll go right to this. And then you can click on this link on a video that's over on YouTube. And you can watch the trailer, Death and Other Details. I can't remember. What is that? It's a website, and we play it.
Oh, Myrtle.
Myrtle. Okay, if you're into this kind of stuff, this like Death and Other Details, murder mystery kind of things, go to Myrtle. Myrtle, is it myrtle.com?
It is.
And I'm pronouncing it right. Murdle. Myrtle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Wordle, but with a murder mystery, and you have to. After the first few times, you kind of get into a groove of reducing all of the variables down. But I warn you, you might want to end relationships as this goes on, depending on how chill people are about it. Well, why the hell are you clicking on that X? It's okay.
It's a logic puzzle game mixed with murder mystery.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Anyway, next article is over in the continuity report. 10 times identical movies were released at the same time. Have you ever woken up and there's like two movies that are identical and you're like, why the hell? How?
Yes, it seems like that happens pretty frequently, but I can't think of an immediate example.
Hollywood is the single biggest and most influential film industry in the world, but sometimes it overlaps with itself and a few new releases that appear oddly similar. While the movie industry has gone through different trends and eras with certain types of movies and pretty much everything becoming more popular at certain times, that's how genres are built, I suppose. Most movies are unique and different in several ways. Despite having genres and subgenres, movies can overlap in extremely niche ways and still overlap. The article is over at screenrant.com. Ben Gibbons is the author. And I want to run through this real quick. It says, for example, there are two separate movies released less than 5 years apart that feature the actor Timothy Chalamet. Oh, what is that thing? Hold on. Hold on. I need associative thinking. I remember a meme. Hold on. Oh no, I can't really talk about that because after me learning about it, it became politically charged. So there's I'm not going to get engaged in that. Anyway, I didn't know about it, so I'll just move on. So choosing to marry a character played by Florence. How do you pronounce that last name?
Probably Pugh.
Is it Pugh? Okay. Anyway, despite being in love with someone else, Dune Part 2 and Little Women. However, there are other movies with significantly more connected and unusually both released in the same 12-month window. But you know, when I saw that title, I thought that this was a little bit more directly like two.
I think it is though. They're just saying like there's other things. Well, yeah, there's some similarities, but this is like, hey, it's like the same movie at the same time.
Alien versus Predator, Freddy versus Jason. These are actually two separate movies. But a movie. Like, okay, so there's Freddy and then there's Jason. But then they made a tie-in where both of them were fighting each other, Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, I see. So then they made the tie-in of Alien and Predator too. And at the same time, that's kind of weird.
Right? Kind of odd. But see, these are like polar opposites. I've seen it where there's like almost the same damn movie. You know, like Twisters.
Let's see what else is on the list.
All right.
This is only number 10.
I'm getting a little excited here. I'm sorry. The Prestige and The Illusionist. There you go. That's a little bit closer to what I was envisioning. That's back in 2006. Knocked Up and Juno. Although I think Knocked Up is funnier Juno is more serious. In Knocked Up, Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl form an unexpected relationship after a one-night stand results in an unplanned pregnancy. The couple consider the options with the child, and Rogen's character is willing to step up and be a father. Juno is about teenage, life choices getting the better of them. So, anyway, eventually relationships are healed and formed, and resulting in a happy ending for all involved, which gets possible. So, No Strings Attached and Friends with Benefits, 2011. I remember Friends with Benefits, but I don't remember No Strings Attached. Anyway, it's a romantic comedy.
I was trying to figure out who the people were in the picture.
Well, it says here in No Strings Attached, the couple is Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher, and this is Timberlake and Mila Kunis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they looked familiar, but I couldn't figure out who they were.
Yeah. This is like a 12-year-old Justin Timberlake.
Exactly.
My gosh. Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down. Oh my gosh. We were just talking about this earlier today. Essentially the same movie.
4 months apart.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. You know, they almost get launched on the same day. Number 5, This Is the End and The World's End. Same damn movie, 2013. Let's see.
Wow, 1 month apart.
1 month apart and sharing 50% of the words and letters.
Oh, right. That's funny.
That's awesome. The Equalizer and John Wick. No way. I would never put those two together. John Wick, the world building there is spectacular. Although Denzel Washington, I would go out of my way to watch anything from Denzel Washington. So The Equalizer is probably... Oh God, there it is again. Titular.
No. Keep going.
Oh, it has the titular John. It's a twofer. It's a tutular. No.
Don't say that 10 times fast.
Spectre, Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, all together, 2015. Churchill and Darkest Hour. I remember that. I saw... Did I see Churchill? No, I think I saw Darkest Hour. Darkest Hour is the one that I saw.
Okay, that's a little weird. Within 6 months, 2 movies about Churchill.
See, but that's what I don't understand. How does that actually happen? What, is the script shopped and then there's some other subordinate script that's also shopped? Or is it the same?
I think this one hits the nail on the head. There was like an anniversary event, which probably caused like, okay, it's the major anniversary of something. Let's look into this. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then number 1, The First Omen and Immaculate, which that's got to be the weirdest number 1. So why is that? Much more recently in 2024, 2 religious horror movies were released approximately 2 weeks apart in March and April. Immaculate follows a young nun who's assigned to serve in a small remote Italian monastery. And the same plot is once again repeated in The First Omen. However, the actress is different, and instead of serving in a nunnery, the young initiate is working in an Italian orphanage. Both of the women are American. Both are specially selected to birth a child to change the world. And even the final fight in both films is similar, with stabbings, flames, tragic death.
Okay, this is 2 weeks apart, and it sounds like it's like the exact same plot. That seems like more like what you were saying.
Yeah, that deserves the number 1. Okay, so again, as always, there's much more nuanced discussion that's over here at Screen Rant, and we just kind of skim over it and give our perspective of this. I agree with everything that I saw, that they're crazy close, and I love it. But I still don't know how it happens. I want to know the machinations that make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And our last article for the continuity report tonight is over in the Continuity Report channel at ohmtown.com. Rotten Tomatoes confirms what the best movie trilogy of all time really is. So don't look. How many trilogies do you know?
A small number.
Yeah, like one. All right, Star Wars. So let's find
Star
out what
Wars,
it is. Oh, Lord of the
Back
Rings.
to the Future, Lord of the Rings
Toy
is
Story.
one I would say.
Okay. So Timothy Lethbridge over at ScreenRant.com put the article together. And it says, review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes has revealed its definitive list of the best movies of all time, and in doing so appears to have finally settled the long-running debate about which series constitutes the best film trilogy ever made. What do you think is number one?
Well, I saw it as you scrolled by, but I would have said like Lord of the Rings.
All right. So I'm gonna scroll because they talk about it, but that isn't number one, is it? Or it is. The whole article is.
I wouldn't have realized that one. Like I wouldn't have even thought of that one.
Yeah, that's interesting that they didn't talk about any of the others to lead you down, the primrose path to. So Toy Story is the best movie trilogy based on Rotten Tomatoes ranking. Don't cry. All three films rank within the top 26 movies on the list, a record that easily outstrips any competitors, considering that the franchise is one of the most successful of all time and has been an intergenerational hit for both audiences and critics. This position is perhaps unsurprising. It has... Oh, wow. Interesting.
I mean, that's pretty spectacular. I don't disagree with the selection. I mean, it seems like it would have broad appeal, but it is interesting too because it's based on individual movies rather than the overall franchise. And I do think if you asked people, I know this was based on critics and everything, but if you asked what's the best franchise, would you get a different answer? Maybe.
Well, this is really interesting. It says, interestingly, highest ranking Toy Story movie is not the 1995 original, but the much loved follow-up Toy Story 2. Rated as the 8th best film of all time, it is also the highest rated animated movie on the list. Toy Story comes close behind at number 12, giving the Toy Story series the top 2 animated movies ever made. Ahead of their nearest competitor, How to Train Your Dragon, number 15. Toy Story 3 rounds out the trilogy at number 26, behind other animated like Up, Spirited Away, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Up crushed me at the beginning, but then it's like a lot of animated movies that are geared towards kids. It like the hook is basically an interesting personality, and then something horrible happens and you're like, oh, well, I'm about to turn this off, and then it pivots really fast to really reel you in. I wasn't like that with Spirited Away, and I wasn't like that with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but it says, however, regardless of its lower position, the series as a whole is unquestionably in top spot, according to the list. So there's much more, but I'll let y'all read it. Look, though, it says...
Oh, yeah, and I didn't think about Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Indiana Jones, but... Okay, so to me, a trilogy is a trilogy. Punk, and there's nothing after it. There's nothing before it. Trilogy is 3. Yeah. But none of these are actually all by their lonesome, right? Lord of the Rings is
That's
actually
true.
A trilogy. So I would have said Lord of the Rings. The only way that you can have anything other than the Lord of the Rings trilogy is, right? Is if you force the other stuff into it.
What do you mean, like include the other stories? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun,
oh,
dun.
Like the Silmarillion or something? Or is that only a book?
Yeah, it's only a book right now. But where do they have it all? So The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King are the trilogy. And they were released one year apart. But now they're supposed to be making a new one that's about Gollum. Which I don't
Right.
think.
Does that mean that it's not going to be a trilogy? I mean, to me, it's still a trilogy. But...
Yeah, and that's where I would. The one, like, we haven't looked at the list, but I would say Lord of the Rings is the only one that's really a trilogy, because I think there's more of the Toy Story films, right?
There are. So that's also interesting.
Right? There's Toy Story 4. Whole franchise. Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4, and then Buzz Lightyear, which isn't necessarily part of it. Toy Story 5 is actually pinned to 2026. There's Lightyear, and then there's Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, The Adventure Begins. I don't know if that's actually... I mean, it's from 2000. And then Lightyear, which... Not even sure why that existed. Anyway, pretty cool. I'd buy into Toy Story as being a trilogy if it would have been left alone, but... Sorry, you have 4 and now 5. I'm a purist. Anyway, that's the last article for the continuity report for May 12th, 2024. Thank you very much for hanging out. I am Mayor Watt, and all around is the sentient AI from the future, who wouldn't tell me any of the stats to make it so that I knew this stuff already. Oh, we always go back. Boink. There we go. We just snapped back like hitting rewind.
Yep, on a Betamax or something.
Wow, Betamax. Get in the Wayback Machine.
Exactly. Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Continuity Report. We'll have another episode of that next week, but stay tuned. We have more ahead today.
Yeah, so right after this show is Technology Today, where we do a deeper dive into technology, and then Four Wheel Tech, which is about automotive technology. So see you in about maybe 15 minutes. I don't know. Bye-bye. Oh, I should have made popcorn before the show started. Oh.